Welcome, 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 heroes, to the Outlaws Outpost, your unofficial guide to the best Overwatch League team, brought to you by the Good Night and Good Game podcast and official Outlaw supporter group, the Lone Star Vanguard. I'm your host, James, and with me today from the Lone Star Vanguard is Joe, aka Nubatron. And we have Jake, aka Tuna.
Reinhardt voice. Hello!
Today we're joined by a very special returning guest, Jesse, aka JAG, the social media manager for the Outlaws. Jesse, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me once again. And I don't know why you guys invited me back, but let's do this.
It was just so much fun the first time. We had to go all over again, or it was a mess. One of the two. You'll have to.
Why not both?
Sequels sell really well.
That's really kind of what we aspire for: is to be good, but also be a hot mess.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you're the first of many things, right? You're the first guest, and you're the first return guest.
That is true.
So,
well, it's an honor to be here once again, and I'm excited to go through these conversations with you guys.
So we have a lot to unpack here. I know that everybody wants to get into the game this weekend, but before we get to that, I kind of want to start with our path to the payload. I want that little history of where we got where we are now. So I think that it's fairly safe to say that that pre-June qualifiers, a lot of people were starting to wake up and really start paying attention to Houston. Aside from the obvious win rate, I'm really curious, panel, what do you think started getting everyone's eyes on the team?
Jesse, you want to go first?
Oh yeah, sure. I think that, scrum bucks were kind of a thing. I remember at the very beginning, there's a lot of stuff on Reddit. There's a lot of back and forth, like, is this a good team? Is this a bad team? I know there's a lot of rumors about Piggy and Jonggu because they were the Shock scrim partners last year when they were in Korea, and they did pretty well against the Shock then. So I think there were there's a lot more positive energy and a lot more positive rumors coming out of this offseason than there really had been in the Outlaws camp before. Now, I only joined in March, so right before the season started, I was coming in kind of with a whole new perspective. I know my biggest thing was when I got into the building and I saw them scrim for the first time, it was like, wow, like you can tell, like, there's just good vibes. Everyone's like vibing really well. They're having fun. They're messing with each other. And that was my biggest personal sign.
You would have been there to hear the comms, right? Like you would have heard how clear the comms are, or how they weren't when you were there.
Yeah, and it's ever evolving as metas change and stuff like that. But I think the best part is I hear Jake the most. Jake is, very loud IGL when he's in there, so I can basically tell whatever's going on based on what he's saying because he's not like yelling, but he's like, very he's a very good leader. That's the way I'm gonna put it.
Okay, I can see that. But I mean, if you've listened to any kind of, actual comms from Overwatch, it can get loud. I mean, it's supposed to get loud. You're supposed to be, focusing those targets. You need to have that voice in the room that is doing those things. And it sounds like that's exactly what Jake brought to the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because he's going from being a DPS to more of that main support. And I think that he's got a pretty good Brigida for sure, but the biggest thing is like he is just so good at controlling kind of the team's tempo and the team's micro and all that kind of stuff that it really brings a new element. And let's not forget Juby. He is a great main support in his own right, and I think that he's got an amazing Lucio and he's got a pretty good Brigida as well. But it just allows for a completely different play style. So it's really cool to kind of see those two different like kind of styles the team can bring to the table.
Absolutely, completely agreed. What about Noob or Tuna? What do you got for like? Why do you think what actually started getting people like invested in Houston once the season began?
Oh man, happy. I think having a solid partner for Dante, allowing him to really kind of flourish and he has that connection that they have, right? Dante being that coming into the season being that threat that everyone knows, right? And Happy being everyone knows Happy was good, but how would he mesh well with the team and with Dante? So seeing Happy pop off the way that he did, especially in May, I think that really kind of brought back the hype of everyone's at the edge of their seats waiting for the next pop off moment from Happy. So definitely I think that is one of the higher contributing factors.
I agree. Actually, one of our other hosts for the show, Cree, is in chat right now, and she says she thinks one of the big factors is us winning that opening weekend game against Dallas.
Sure. I mean, anytime you do that at the beginning of the season, it's pretty great, right?
Yeah.
Kind
What
of.
about you, Tuna? What do you think? What do you think got all the eyes on Houston?
I mean, I think everyone's always had their eyes on Houston.
Mhm.
We just finally have a really good record, and
Mhm.
it looks like we're still San Francisco's only regular season loss.
Mhm. That is huge. That is huge.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're the only team to beat San Francisco,
Mhm.
aside from knockouts and playoffs.
I think that one of the big factors, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, but obviously Houston fans are dedicated to Houston fans. We've had nothing but love for our team since the very first season. But we didn't know what to expect going into this next season, right? We heard, oh, they're wiping most of the roster. We're keeping Dante. We don't know what's going to happen. And then, like, I have no comparison for this unless you watch like professional wrestling. The guest star comes out from behind the curtain
With a steel chair?
Right, with a steel chair, and it's Jake. So they made the Jake announcement, who had gone into retirement, taken some time to himself, and suddenly there were questions being asked, like, okay, so we've got Dante, we've brought Jake in. What are their roles going to be? How are they going to help inform this team? And I think that started having people say, maybe this team is going to be more than we thought it was going to be, because it seems like they're putting a lot of care into constructing their lineup. And it feels like that with every choice we've made, with every pickup that we've had. It's felt like everything is very methodical, very thought out. It isn't just like, oh, we need a hit scan, grab this guy. Every decision that we've been making with our pickups, including and especially our original two tanks, felt very, very well executed. And I think that's what got a lot of people hyped for it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the fact that you were able to pick up two solid tanks that have chemistry is huge, right?
Absolutely.
So
it was funny. We got a Dreamer, and then we're all like, yes. And then next day is like, there's gonna be one tank in our next game, and we're all like, oh.
You're just like still like bitter over the Overwatch 2 news. I can see that.
No, I'm someone here is bitter, but it's not me.
Overwatch 2
I'm
is
really
dead.
excited.
I'm calling it right now.
No.
I'm kidding. Sorry.
No,
All right. No, I'm not going to be talking.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
Okay, so let's get into the big question, the June Joust qualifiers. So we had no idea that the May Melee was going to end the way that it did. But coming into these qualifiers, even the desk was split 50-50 on who would win. So I am curious to all of you, what do you think contributed to the success of Dallas during those matches?
I'm just gonna look. I think we just all gotta just understand they're just that good. Like Outlaws are great, right? As well, but I think Dallas is just on another level right now.
You cannot dismiss the Dallas roster.
Right.
You cannot dismiss their skill. Like, they are very, very talented individuals. And even prior to this season of the Overwatch League, you had the caster desk saying, we've got Dallas in our top 5 because we know what the roster looks like. We know what the other teams are going to be up against. And yes, Dallas struggled at the beginning, but they did bring their A game, and they always bring their A game when they go up against Houston.
I just think that this meta was more geared towards their skill set. I mean, if you got Fearless playing in there, Winston, right? And he's a phenomenal Winston, and you have the whole like they don't have a hit scan, right? I mean, and this comes into play where they don't really need to use one. It just kind of played into their hands. But that's my take.
Yeah, no, I want everybody's take on this one. And we're not here to be negative. Like, I really am genuinely curious. Like, what do you think Dallas brought to the table that really gave them that competitive advantage?
So, like, don't kick me out of the podcast, but Dallas is really fun to watch this year. Like, honestly.
Okay, he's out.
We're
done.
Okay, bye. Goodbye.
Kree in chat. We're bringing you back.
So but they're really exciting, and one of the big things I talked about before the season was our previous synergy with Jonggu and Piggy, and I didn't know that Dallas has so much previous synergy as well. They get Sparkle, Doa, and like Fearless were all in contenders, and they're just dominating. And like that synergy shows to this day, and they're really good, and they're going to Hawaii again.
Yeah.
So, and Jexy, I'm really happy to see him like succeed.
I'm so happy for him. He's so good. He's so talented.
As good as a rivalry is, watching them succeed is it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Jag? I mean, I know we are an Outlaws, focused show, but I need to know, like, you saw the game. Like Dallas brought something magical to the table when they went up against us.
So one thing I want to say really quickly is that all of the people that are currently on Dallas, except I know actually all of them were on a team together at one point. I don't know if they were all on the team at the same time, but they were all on Element Mystic, all of them, including Exy. So this roster is essentially just Element Mystic 2.0, which was kind of what Paris tried to do last year, but then they also kept some people. They had a mixed roster, and I thought that was really, really cool. So Dallas, I mean, it's really smart. They just did what Vancouver did season 2, and they just basically got what was the best team in contenders at one point, all in one place, all on one Overwatch League roster. And they've done a great job at adapting, even about a pure hitscan player. Sparkle and Doha have, picked up. Like, I wouldn't say they have like the best McCree player in the world, but they can play Tracer, they can play Reaper, and then last time they just decided, hey, Symmetra might be the play. They tried it and they ran it. So I think personally what happened in Melee is everyone was caught off guard by them. I mean, they ran through Shock and then they ran through us, and
Well, I think the bigger shock with Dallas and the May Melee is they'd just been having such a rough time up until that point.
2-2.
They hadn't found their synergy as a team yet, and so when they came in swinging like that, we all sat back and went, "Whoa, wait, what have we been missing?"
They could have been sandbagging, honestly. Like I don't know. They could have just been like trying out new things. Maybe they finally found something that clicked, during that week that they had off. Because I think they had the third week off like we did. But I think now coming into the June Joust, everyone knew they were going to be tough competition, despite the fact that they were the 5th seed. Just with 4 games, seeding kind of gets funky. And I think that this time we tried playing a counter comp. We thought that we had it figured out, and clearly, there were things that happened that made it that we didn't figure it out. Now, I'm not a coach. I'm just a social media guy. I'm just a marketing guy. So I had my
we
own.
are all just fans and you working with it with them, obviously, but we aren't the coaches, and we can't say definitively this was the thing that was wrong. But
I will say this: there's a lot of this is going to sound like an ad spot, but we recorded Let It Rip yesterday, and it's all about it. They talked a ton about their decision making, all this stuff, and coming into that session, I had my own opinion about what happened, and then hearing them talk about it, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. So I think Let It Rip tomorrow night is like a must-see episode, just because it's really honest. I think that's the biggest thing.
It's going to be episode 6, and it'll be up on YouTube.
Yeah, it's going to be live at 8:30 on Twitch and YouTube, and then it's going to be available as a VOD anytime on both platforms. But definitely, I think check it out live. It's fun to watch with fans.
So that's reflecting on the loss to Dallas the other day.
Yeah, it's a big part of it is kind of talking about the June Joust as a whole. Kind of reflecting on that, and then talking about the Dallas match, and then I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some hot takes on hero pools in there as well.
Well, I'm in gold, so I clearly know exactly what happened and what went wrong. So obviously. Let me tell you how you fix this. I'm kidding. I don't know. But yeah, I think I was also kind of maybe on the same boat that you were, Jesse. Kind of like Saturday Sunday, I was just a little kind of like really bitter. Like I wanted to fight everybody. And then I went to bed and I woke up Monday morning realizing, guys, like, why are we mad? Like, obviously they're pros. They have professional coaching. Our record is still really darn good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have one of the best records in the league.
Yeah, yeah. It just kind of like we just have to kind of understand. It's like hey, like we did what we thought would work out. But I mean, unfortunately, like our opposition is just that good, right? I mean, hell, they went on to be Gladiators who 4-0 this stage, right?
So getting 4-0 is a curse. It's actually a curse. Like it's better just to drop that one game eventually, so you have a chance of actually making Hawaii.
Yeah.
So Jag, I know that Boston Uprising, because you're from that area, it was your first love, and I need to know, like, what were your feelings about that match against Atlanta?
I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I did not watch the matchup. Mostly because I was, I had stuff I had to do. Like even like I think one thing that people don't realize is that as a social media manager, even when the game ends, my job doesn't necessarily end there. Like there's a lot of stuff I have to do to wrap up. I do go into the office for the games. That way, like, I can get behind the scenes content. So, I'm there, I'm helping whoever it's needed. Like if we need to clean up a space, like, I'll try to make myself available for that. So I did all that, and then I got home and I took a depression nap. So I did not watch the Boston game. I did catch a little bit of Atlanta and Shock, because that's when I actually woke up. It was a very long nap. It was like a 3-hour nap.
Yeah, I was a little on the fence about it, because I was like, Boston, Atlanta, this could go either way, because Boston really has been so much getting so progressively better. And but Atlanta's just dangerous, man. They're absolutely dangerous right now, and they're definitely one of the big ones to look out for. I know that we're all saying Dallas, obviously, not only just to kind of have that, you know, Dallas friendly rivalry because Dallas is really good, but I've been watching Atlanta and they're a little scary.
And
So
New York snuck in there too.
I'll say this. I think that if Atlanta can run a better counter comp than we did and better than LA did, I think that they win because honestly, I don't want to spoil tomorrow, but let's just say the coaches said something that I really agree with about how APAC operates versus how NA is operating right now. And because of this thing, I think that NA kind of has an advantage because the TLDR is like they see more styles and APAC is kind of just everyone runs the exact same thing. So, Atlanta, they have been opposed multiple times with a comp that really should run through them if you've got this kind of divey brawl. Because Moira, especially, like Coalescence, just absolutely melts people if you've got a Winston on you. But they keep winning. So I think if they could beat Dallas, I think Atlanta is the team to beat.
Yeah, I agree. So let's bring it back to the Outlaws for a minute because I'm just curious. Obviously, we watch all the games. Who do you think is the most improved player on the Outlaws roster currently? Having watched all of the games just over time, like who do you think is the most improved?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of an answer too.
I'm gonna say probably Piggy. I mean, honestly, well, didn't I say this from a standpoint in the sense that like everyone, because of typically off of the IBM Watson stats or whatever, everyone's kind of dropped off, but Piggy stayed up there. And I feel like the having to adapt to playing with Dreamer now and still being able to play the way that he does, I think that's pretty impressive. And it feels like he's the one that has been the most consistent out of everybody. So at this level,
I'm gonna cop out on my answer a little bit because I do feel like just even though we've only watched a couple matches with Dreamer, it feels like he's ramping up very quickly. He's beginning to really harmonize and synergize with the team very, very well. Tuna, what about you? Most improved player.
Crimzo is starting to grow on me a lot.
Just starting to grow on you. Crimzo's amazing.
Yeah, but you're talking about most improved.
That is true. That is true.
Look, I didn't hate the Outlaws at the beginning of the season. I gotta pick one. I just feel like Crimzo is starting to be like a rock on the team, I would say. And I'm excited to see their synergy between him, Juby, Jake. I'm excited.
Okay, what about you, Jesse?
I don't know. I feel like Piggy's always been a great player, so I don't want to say he's like the most improved. And I always kept telling people last year that I thought the best players in Dallas were Onigod and Crimzo. I thought Doa is a really good player, but I just didn't feel like he got a chance to shine last year. And I think if you saw Dante's recent tweet, it kind of goes into that. Like a lot of the heroes he was playing are kind of reliant on he can do his job, but if the team doesn't follow up, then Doha's, it doesn't matter. And now Doha's really getting a chance to shine now that he has a team fully backing him up. So I'm actually going to say Jake because he role swapped. And he's kind of taking a position of he's a coach and he's also a player, which you haven't really seen in Overwatch League like ever. I think this is kind of the first time, and he's really been the most consistent kind of flex player, a role that they got rid of after season one. Remember, I remember Surefour was a flex player like season one, and he only played DPS basically. So I mean, he's really only coming in for one map so far on DPS.
Yeah, I haven't really been thinking about that, but there just really aren't those flex players like Jake anymore.
Yeah, so he has to not only has to do well at one role, but he has to do well at two. And when he's coming in, he's generally been a really good difference maker. His mercy stats, if you look at them, are actually some of the best in the league, especially when it comes to lowest deaths and most healing and reses and stuff like that. He's a very smart player. All around, just a fun guy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's got a lot of big brain plays. We've talked in the past about, that wonderful Anubis tire that he had. Obviously, that was a really big deal. But he does have a very genuinely amazing game sense. And to be juggling those roles, to be a true flex player in that sense, Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could see why you would pick him for most improved, just because he does get to tackle all those different things.
So I think some of the legendary role swaps that we've seen in the league so far is definitely Super going to Genji and actually doing well and standing his ground on that too. And now we have Jake on Mercy and doing well too.
Mhm. Okay, so on the other side of the June joust, we're going to be looking at an Outlaws team that is not looking down the barrel of hero bands. So I need to know, what are your expectations for the team once everything can go back to the quote meta?
I'm gonna let Jesse take this one first.
Yeah, go.
I don't know because
He
we
can't
don't
leak
know.
strats.
We
Don't leak
don't
strats.
we don't know what the meta's gonna be, right? Like, I mean, there could be a new patch before stuff happens. I mean, it might go back to Ryan Diva, but I don't know. I mean, my expectations are pretty high. It's a tough schedule. I mean, it's basically a redux of stage one. We play Dallas and the Shock again, and then we
Okay.
play the Titans in Boston. So I feel like I'm sorry, Vancouver. I feel like there's at least one guaranteed win
We're
in
sorry,
there.
Linkser.
Yeah, the team, I really want them to succeed in some regard, but definitely not against us.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I think Dallas is the hardest matchup in that schedule by far. Shock
Mhm.
have looked still great at
They're
moments, but
shaky. They're shaky though.
I think losing Moth was more of a loss than they realized it would be. Because I think one thing about Moth that people didn't really see is he didn't get the biggest, fanciest plays. But what did he do? He was an IGL. He's the one who kept them in check. He's the one who kept them grounded. He's the one, was making sure that everyone was on the same page. And FD God is an amazing mechanical player, but the way he plays Lucio is so different. He's more of a DPS Lucio. Like, I'm not gonna say Reddit Lucio because he's really smart. He gets big boops, but I don't know what his IGLing is like. And I think you can kind of see that in their play is that they're kind of more scrambled at times.
Mhm. See that?
For our viewers who don't know, IGL means what?
In-game leader. So there's a
And
few
not me.
different. I'm gonna lay down some few basic things about Overwatch. So there is a shot caller who's kind of in charge of making a fight plan and deciding kind of like how you're going to start off an engagement, like what rotation you're going to take, what ultimates you're going to use. There's an ult tracker who's usually the same person who's making sure what ults your enemy has and what ults you have and how you're going to use them, to counter them or try to initiate first. And then you have a target caller who's in charge of calling, who's actually being focused down by the entire team. So as a main support, generally your job is to really make sure that you're keeping track of what your enemy has and what you're going to use, and then kind of devising what you're going to do before you actually fight. And obviously things happen where you kind of have to change the plan in the moment, and that's kind of what your main tank does. Is they're kind of the one keeping it together if things are falling apart. But it's really important to have a big brain main support.
Good to know.
We're also educated now. Thank you for bringing this level of professionalism to this very unprofessional show.
All
Thank
I
you.
Because I
all
knew
I-
what IGL was. I mean, come on.
all I heard is the main tank needs to keep it together. So next time I say I'm gonna pin, if you're not using your cooldowns on me, you're throwing. For the record, I'm submitting that.
So going back to the question about expectations once we are out of these hero bans, a lot opens up for us, right? There was this big concern where we were looking at, well, we have to play Echo because there is no Sombra, there is no Tracer, but our team is not just based purely around Dante. Obviously, all of our players are performing at a very exceptional level. It will give us more versatility in our kit, being able to have those heroes available, especially because Dante is such a versatile player. But it's not going to be the thing that decides whether or not, we're going to get nothing but wins going forward. There's a lot of factors to consider, especially like Jag said, that we're going to be going into this next stage, basically looking like stage one again. And that's going to be a little bit worrisome, especially again, with Dallas being as strong as they are.
One thing I want to say really quickly that I think is an advantage, and I think I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this. I don't like how the league does their schedule, and I've been kind of vocal about this privately, but I hate how it's 3 weeks and you play 2 out of the 3. I think it's a huge advantage to teams that don't have a game week 1. They can kind of watch and see what's happening for a meta, and then if they don't like it, they can find a counter, composition. If they do like it, they can try to work on it, perfect it. And it's nice because this is going to be the first week that we're not playing week 1. But I think it makes way more sense to have each team play 1 game a week minimum, and then 1 week they play 2, and then you still get 4 games. I don't know how possible that is logistically. I'm sure that's a lot harder to schedule, but though I really don't like how it is. And then it's so weird because with that final week off, like we've had that 3rd week off, and sometimes that could be an advantage. You get a little bit of relaxing, you can scrim more, whatever you want to do, but also then you're coming in a bit cold because you haven't had, a slate of games like other people have had. So I just really wish the schedule was more evened out. And I think that we will have an advantage going in to Summer Showdown because we will have that time to see what other teams are doing.
I would like to say that I 100% agree with you, and I've been telling this panel that I would die on that hill that I think the schedule is terrible. I think that we've been at a major disadvantage you know, at the start of both these past 2 tournaments because we have to try to we have to figure it out week 1. Right now we're kind of reeling in that 1 week where we don't have anyone to play, where everyone is, I mean, they're also scrimming and preparing appropriately. They have more time to figure it out.
So it's like the teams at the beginning are like almost like test subjects, and at the end they cool off while everyone's getting hot, like the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, like Dallas had the first week off this time, so they could just watch and see what everyone was doing. I think a big part of the Atlanta matchup was that we didn't really get a lot of time to experiment. Because also one thing you got to remember is hero pools. The teams found out only a little bit before everyone publicly knew. It wasn't like they had like an extra week to prepare. It was a very small time frame of them knowing to public knowing. So you really have very little time to try to figure out what the heck you're gonna play.
Do we know how they picked the characters? Just like a random number generator, or?
I think the way it worked was the more it was played, the more chances it had of being
I
banned.
think
but it
that's
was
actually
still
what they said
random.
on. I think that's what they said on Watchpoint, is that there was part of it based on pick rate. So.
And just like a computer, or I know they did the lottery, they did the cat, which was a weird time.
I don't know. I think kind of a random monkey in chat is pointing out that the CDO has 3 weeks per stage. Each team play 1 game per weekend, right? Which I think would even it out a bit more. I know we have, obviously they only have 12 teams, but I'm with you in the sense that heck, even if you only have to play 1 game instead of 2 1 weekend, that's better than nothing. And that might be a better way to balance it out.
It could be 2-1-1, 1-2-1, 1-1-2.
But that way you at least, for sure. Yeah, I'm with you on that. 100%.
All right, Jag. So let's dive into your time with the Outlaws. The last time you were on this show, you were just coming into your role with the team and had very little time at the beginning of the season. We were asking you a whole lot of questions, and you were basically like, "I don't know. I just showed up." So we are now forward in time, future us. Take us to where you are now. I want a little day in the life of Jag. Tell me how your relationship with the team has evolved.
Played the 5th? No. I've definitely gotten to know the guys a little bit more. I think one thing, that they've said themselves is that they are grinding every day. So unfortunately, I don't have as much time to socialize with them as I'd like to, but they're really busy. They're professionals, they're working on mastering their craft. So what little time I do get with them here and there, it's just nice to hang out with them and just, just be people with them. I think it's the biggest thing is that, they don't want to be treated like, obviously, they're well-known people in the Overwatch and esports, but they don't want to be treated like, differently than because of that. But generally, I'm trying to think, should I talk you through like a day in the job?
Yeah, please. Yeah, give us a day in the job.
That'd be cool.
Sure. So I'll go through like a general Monday because I think that's probably my most structured day. Other days of the week can be a bit like kind of all over the place depending on what we have going on. So Mondays, usually I kind of sit down at the beginning and I track all of our social media growth between not only the team, but also just to see like where the players are at and stuff like that. So I have to do a lot of, basically like looking up numbers and stats and stuff like that. And then I kind of put together a weekly report of like what posted well, what posts didn't, so we can kind of adjust our strategy going forward. I know that, we've learned a lot through these first 2 months of what works and what doesn't and what we're trying to do more of and what we might be trying to do less of going forward. We have a meeting that we always start off every week with. It's kind of like the top of the week. Like this is our big flagship things that we need to do. A lot of it has to do with sponsorship stuff, making sure that our partners are happy and that we're, delivering the things that we promised them. Um, and then we usually film Let It Rip on Mondays, which is a lot of fun. We got a set in the office, our little studio set. Um, I help read the script a little bit, help come up with questions and help come up with like stuff to help the flow go along. I'm usually on set for those. I'm taking like behind the scenes stuff. Um, and then once that is done, I usually look forward to the rest of the week and see like what I can plan in advance. And sometimes stuff comes up and my attention's pulled into another direction where I'm gonna look at something that's a little bit more immediate, something that we're going to be doing, maybe later that day or the next day if it's really important. Other times I'm like looking through basically the next 7 days until like the next Monday to see, what I can kind of figure out already. And then other than that, I'm kind of just scouting the internet to see if there's any good memes, good clips, any good trends that I can kind of, see if we can jump onto that and, connect with our audience a little bit more. I was really proud of the one I did today. And if there's any two things I am remembered for at my time with the Outlaws, it's getting John Cena to follow us because we're the only Overwatch League
That
team
was
currently followed by
amazing.
John
I
Cena.
respect that.
And the second one was the Anakin and Padme meme
Yeah.
because that was
Yeah.
hilarious, and I still laugh at it
Fantastic.
every time I see it.
Yeah.
That meme's hot right now.
It's really hot.
It sounds like a big part of your job is honestly just being flexible, right? Like you can have a structured schedule, but depending on what games go on that day, what you need to do, you need to be basically just ready to roll with whatever happens.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Game day, the game's going on. Do you just sit there and like enjoy the game, or what do you do during the games?
So so game day is interesting. I kind of have like a set schedule of like when game day posted like announcement, like hey, we're playing today's going out. Then roster reveal. We have a bunch of amazing graphics from our graphics team that I use. When the game actually starts, I'm basically looking for good content. So I watch Watchpoint to see if there's anything good there, if there's any funny stuff, any hot takes. Like I remember one of them is literally just reinforce his dog jumped onto him and like that was a huge hit. So like stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily have to even be about the game. It's anything that's like fun, witty, feels good, stuff like that. I try to find.
Yeah.
And then when we're actually in map, I try to find clips that are good, like nice little pop-off plays. And like record those and try to get them up so people can like see where the match is at. And then
That seems like it would be a very frantic thing. Like if there's a really good play
It
that just
is.
happened, you're like, I need to get that up now. Like,
Yeah, I mean the idea is like if it's already happened like 10 minutes ago, no one's gonna care. So I think there's kind of a time limit I set on myself to try to rush. And there's different softwares I use that make it a lot easier. Before I was doing a way of clipping it was just like not ideal whatsoever. Now it's a little bit more smooth, streamlined. So it's a little bit easier. Then I have to make sure like the file is like correct. I have to make sure that the video works, and then I have to like think of copy, which I think is the most hard part. My background has been in writing, so I've always been a writer, but it's very different when you're writing copy for something that's you can put down for like 2 hours and then come back to it and be like, oh, I see my mistakes. When you write something in the moment, you can stare at it for like 10 minutes and I swear you will not see your mistakes until it's already posted. It's just
no,
so
I
hard to see it.
completely agree. My background's in writing as well. And just like, like I go to write a script for something that's kind of last minute and I'm like, oh, this sounds fine. And then like I'll be in the middle of like recording something like this and I'm looking at the script and I'm like, I need to change this right now. Like what was wrong with me 2 hours ago when I wrote this?
So I'm getting roasted in chat because, as you know, I have to essentially. I'm also kind of like our social media guy, just because I'm the only. I basically do everything in the Outlaws feed, right? And I'm at work and I'm like, okay, I have 10 minutes where the people that I'm training are busy. I should probably do some social media engagement. And so like today I was typing, okay, like what would you rather do? Would you rather bring back 5-man res or bring back like day one brig, right? And one of the options was rally to me. Now I'm on my cell phone, so I'm using my swipe where you swipe and it brings up the words. So in my mind, I'm like rally, swipe rally to me, and I hit submit. Apparently, it changed. Autocorrect changed it to really to me. So I get it, man. Your job is
It's a high
honestly
pressure situation from what it sounds
100%.
like.
How you
Yeah,
keep your composure is insane. I
Mhm,
I
can't do it.
let me tell you this. I don't forget when I screw up. I always
mhm.
remember like even the littlest mistakes. It doesn't matter if one or 10,000 people saw it. I will always remember when I
Yep.
messed up a word or posted the wrong thing. I mean, the one thing that I think that haunts me the most is the Deemer graphic. And I don't know how many of you saw that, but we were in such a rush that day. There was so much going on. I just didn't, I was like, oh, this is all set, and I just didn't check, and there was just an R missing. It was also like Dreamer's first game, I think, and it
Mhm,
was fun because people are like, give us Steamer, it's that was fun. But like I tried to make a in my head a really bad situation all right.
mhm.
um but like just stuff like that, like I can't forget it, and I really wish I could let it go, but you don't learn from your mistakes, I guess, if you just kind of let it go into the void.
Yeah.
So
If you're
one
not staying up till 3 in the morning remembering all of your mistakes, what are you
Oh.
doing with yourself?
just in the fetal position, just rocking back and forth.
Right?
One thing I will say is that sometimes I'll be able to sneak out of my little social media cave and be able to join the dugout where the players and coaches are watching. And that's a really interesting, unique experience that I really wish every Overwatch League fan could get, because I mean, there's no overlays. It's literally just an in-game feed.
Mhm,
It's only our team. We're side locked, and it's just a bunch of people talking about Overwatch. And
mhm.
even though they're pros and they're 1,000 times better than me, it's just talking shop, and it's awesome.
God, that sounds absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. So, what about Houston though, Jag? Because I was born and raised there, but you're getting to experience the city for yourself. So I need to know what has it been like? What are some of the things that you've gotten to experience there? Do you need more food recommendations? I have a million.
So this isn't to be a disappointing statement, but I've only been to the city about 4 times. I'm
Mhm.
not based in Houston proper. I'm based in the Woodlands,
Okay.
and I even though I'm fully vaccinated, I'm still just trying to be as safe as possible. So I'm trying
Sure.
not to go out too much. I think my favorite thing so far is I've been to Jen, the Korean barbecue place, twice. And it was cool because it's always been of esports people.
Mm.
I worked I casted for a company called CF1. They're Collegiate Valorant, and they're based in Houston, so a lot of their people are here. So I've been able to meet up with them. I've been able to meet up with other casting people in Texas. I've brought some of my Outlaws coworkers there. There was like, I want to say 8 of us that went total last Saturday. Yeah,
Mhm.
last Saturday. Not this previous Saturday, the Saturday before that, and that was super fun. And I also got to go to an Astros game, which was fun
Oh,
because we
very
beat the
nice.
Rangers. Um, but I'm hoping to spend more time in the city soon. I really want to check out the museums. I've got a friend coming in from Boston, in July, so her and I are gonna, tear up the town, check
Very
all that
nice.
cool stuff. Because then I won't have any excuse to not go. If my friend's coming to visit me, I gotta, show her around.
Then I will give you my full list of food recommendations because while I live in Austin now, the one thing I do miss about Houston is the food because there's just so many amazing places to go.
I will
CC me on that.
Yeah,
I will
seriously.
also add, if you would ever like to go scraping, you let me know. I have a cousin who has a lowrider truck, and he has a crew where you know what scraping is? That's when you have a extremely low rider truck that is so low that it basically scrapes the the road as you're driving, especially during like bumps and stuff and speed bumps, things like that. And it's good people. It's a great time. They basically just cruise typically around 2 or 3 blocks, and then they find a big old empty parking lot to park, and they turn on their lights, they turn on their music. Some people actually bring their grills out and they grill. It's a lot of time. It's a great time.
It
A
is
lot,
it is an awesome experience, to be
and you
honest.
also see a lot of swangers out there.
Yeah, it's
So,
true.
uh, of course, this is largely in Pasadena and Galveston, but the complete opposite of the Woodlands. But it's a great time. I've been plenty of time, and it's definitely an experience.
So when you were first coming into the show, when we first had you on, you said that you were just getting your feet wet with being an outlaw social media manager. I was like, be careful. We're a very impassioned, group of fans. So now that you've had time with the Outlaws fan base, though, what has it been like being the social media manager for an Overwatch League team?
For the most part, it's been nothing but love and fun. Like honestly, like I think the biggest thing is, again, I've made some of my own mistakes, which I still like will never live down personally.
Sure.
But the general feedback I've gotten from fans and people like is, it's been a fun new direction, I think, for the voice, which I can't really just credit myself. My boss, the head of brand marketing, Adam Hobbs, who used to work at Counter Logic Gaming. great League of Legends team, he'll tell you.
Mhm.
Him and I have helped like kind of craft this new direction, and we still want to be badass, but we also can have fun with it. And I think you can kind of see that in the way that I take it really upon myself to speak as the brand voice on that account. Like sometimes if people like, talk to me directly, like I'll use my own account because I feel kind of weird being on the Outlaws account being like, hey, thanks, this is Jesse. But I've really developed this kind of fun, witty, but yet still, cool and serious when needed personality of the Outlaws, which has been a lot of fun. And I've loved interacting with the fans. I've done that, I think, more than anything else is if we get added anywhere, like I try to like, respond or like it to know, like this isn't just like a team you support. Like you're part of Outlaws Nation.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I said when we were on the first time, I said we're kind of a family as Outlaws fans. We've been through the rough parts, we've been through the thick and the thin, and we support each other, we support the team no matter what, and we can get very vocal, but it's that kind of energy that we want to bring to the team to show them like, hey, we're supporting what you guys are throwing down. And I have seen that level of energy from you, and just engagement from the Outlaws brand in general. It feels like not only is the team this season so much more kind of emboldened, but also like the social aspect of it, where I see the Outlaws brand out there, and because I do follow a lot of the different Overwatch League brands, it feels like the Outlaws are really willing to engage more with everyone, and bring that sense of family and community, and talk to everybody, even if it's just a random one-off comment. And I know that can be hard, especially when something like this last weekend happens. It can be rough. Um,
yeah,
but
and
you seem to really kind of still go forward with it, and still come into it very maturely.
yeah. So really quickly, I want to address this past weekend.
Sure.
But I remember when I was in like when I was a super uprising fan, whenever the account responded to me, it like made my day. So
Mhm.
like I just try to hopefully help make someone's day. When I can respond to them on Outlaws, and sometimes I miss comments. Sometimes they just happen in the middle of the night. So no, I can't get them all, but I try my best. I was really disappointed this weekend, to be perfectly frank with you.
Mhm.
Um, none of it was directed towards me, which was good, but like I saw some of the messages and it just kind of broke my heart to see people that call themselves fans, just kind of, you know, they were just so negative. Like it was like we were an 0-8 team or something. I mean,
Right.
yeah, it stinks to lose two qualifiers in a row,
Sure.
especially in that fashion to our rival, but we're still the third best team in NA, the fourth best team in the league. There's a lot to be happy, there's a lot to be hopeful about. And it seems like people are just ready, to jump off the wagon the second, something bad happens. And I saw a lot of the comments directed towards, the coaches or the players, and there's nothing wrong with being frustrated, okay? Like
Yeah.
you never you're not going to be happy when your favorite team loses. There's nothing wrong. That's a totally legitimate thing to feel.
Mhm.
um but you should not take it out on the people that are just trying their best, to make you proud.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say about that.
So you're going to say think before you tweet sometimes.
Sometimes it's better to keep it to yourself, or keep
Yeah.
it to your Discord, or keep it to your friends.
Mhm.
I don't think people realize how much the players see. They
So expand on that a little bit, because I don't know if people actually do know how much the players see. Obviously, they follow the Outlaws on Twitter, but how much of that content do they see? How much do they talk about? Let's talk about the human element here of the you as the social media manager, the fans, and then the team, because I don't think a lot of people have any kind of perception that those things are interconnected.
I mean, our players do a really good job of interacting with their fans. They do a really good job of interacting with me on the Outlaws account. They're in the know. They're around. They're seeing the comments. They're seeing the ads. They are not oblivious to what's being thrown their way. And I'm not gonna speak for them because I don't know how much they're actually on Twitter. But I mean, you saw their own statements. I'm sure some of that was directed at the comments that they saw themselves. Dante, I think, had a really, really good, kind of thread where he talked about the May thing, which I kind of mentioned earlier on about, good player, bad team isn't going to look great. He had some other comments about stuff.
Takis. He's been on Instagram talking about Takis on sandwiches,
I
and
mean,
he's
you have Jake who immediately after that match said, "Hey, sorry everyone, I'm taking a break from social media." That should show what they were expecting to happen after that match, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes like I know that I walked away for a little bit. Like, I did the, sorry, like we lost GG's tweet, and then like, I took my nap, and then I came back, and I was like,
Mm.
there's nothing really to respond to here. It's just kind of some of it's like, hopeful and thankful, and then but the other parts that were just like so much negativity. It's like really hard to be around that, and I can't, like, if that's affecting me personally, I can't imagine how it feels to the players. And I know, like, again, I don't want to like just like, seem like I'm like going for an ad swap, but like I know and let it rip. Like, there are shots that you'll see of them kind of reacting, and it's really sad to see. Like, it's not fun.
You could tell that they're as beat up about it, if not more, than we are as fans.
I would say they are 100% more beat up about it because they went in, feeling really confident, and it didn't work out, and they don't want to let anyone down. Like, no one's playing to lose, and they're human. A lot of them are just turning, some of them are just becoming adults. We've got some 18-year-olds on our team. Some of them are a bit older, but they're still all young adults. They're all still people. They're still all human. They're not just these, robots that show up to play and have, whatever. It's a very emotional thing, and it's really disappointing for them to see it as well as me. But I will say one thing. I feel like the Shock have gotten it a lot worse, which I hate personally. Obviously, there are opponents, but they've won 2 titles. Like, they've been the
feel
best
like
team
with the Shock,
forever.
there's a love to hate them kind of thing going on. And it's being compounded on social media where it was like, oh, the Shock lost the game. Let's all just poo-poo on the Shock because like they're obviously bad now. Like,
Well, I think
it's
Jag's talking about the fan base themselves.
Yeah,
Well,
it's the
yeah.
fans. I would say honestly, I mean, Nero had a great tweet where he was like, the most hate messages I get are from people that have winnable in their bio, which is the Shock hashtag.
Mm.
So it's like these fans that have been spoiled for so long, not spoiled because their team did well, and that that's something they deserve.
Oh,
That's what
Shock
they
fans
get.
are spoiled. The players are,
But
the fans are spoiled.
Mhm.
but like not everyone, like, no dynasty lasts forever. It's a different team. They're still doing really well. They're still the second best team in NA, third best team in the league. Like, they're definitely not out of it by any means, and I feel like it's just way worse for them, and I feel really bad for what they have to deal with. But overall, I think as like if you're a fan, if you got nothing nice to say, just don't say it. That's kind of my CLDR on that.
Take a breather. Talk to your friends about why you're upset. Start an Outlaws podcast.
I will say, just to kind of add to that, you mentioned how a lot of people kind of like have their own opinions, right? Or have their own way of how they see how things should have worked out. One of the best examples that I can maybe try to attribute to this to is, how you mentioned it's like, there are people that they're trying to win. That's like yelling. That's like being on a bus in Colorado, driving up a mountain to go to your ski trip. Do you think yelling at the driver saying you're crossing the line, it's gonna really help him concentrate better on getting you up the mountain? This guy's not trying to purposefully drive the bus off the mountain. He's trying to get you to your destination. Don't distract the driver. Like, encourage the driver. You're doing a good job. That turn was a little wide. It's fine. Let's fix it for the next time, right? Like, so I'm with you on that. That's kind of like what I realized that following Monday when I'm like, guys, like we're gonna be okay. And I even replied to a couple of tweets earlier when I was, I believe it was with Dante. I'm lying. It was with Juby. I replied to Juby saying like, hey, like, you're good, man. Like, we've seen the effort that you put in, like everything that you brought into the team. Like, don't let the people that'll never leave gold tell you how bad you're doing. Like, just, you're doing a great job. And
I like that Noob's promoting his own tweets on the show. Good job.
Hey,
Good
I don't get to do
call.
that very often, so here we are.
All right, so let's take a break from the Overwatch League for a little bit. It's gotten a little heavy in here, and let's all relax with a very nice game of Would You Rather.
Yay!
So, Noob, take it away.
Alrighty, Jack. Well, you know how this works, and seeing as how all of our guests have always elected to go first, what's the point of me even asking? But
I didn't even get a choice last. No, actually, I did choose.
I
last
did,
time. I
yeah,
chose to
you
go
did.
first.
Everybody has consistently said they're going to go first if they're a guest.
Every single one of our guests. For those that are new in chat, Would You Rather is a very simple game. I'm going to ask the panel and our guest would you rather do A or would you rather go with option B? So feel free to play along in chat and let me know what you think. But Jag, okay. Last time you were on the show, you mentioned having and tell me if I'm butchering this wrong. Synesthesia. Synesthesia, correct? Did I pronounce that right?
Synesthesia.
Synesthesia. There we go. Okay. And so we learned that you were a pretty big music buff. So that being said, would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you heard?
Oh, that's easy. Sing along. I have a pretty okay voice, and I can't dance to save my life. So, yeah, I sing along.
Okay. Tuna?
I'd sing.
Sing. Okay.
Yeah.
Bindi?
I would say sing just because I love to sing. I am not great at it, but I'm definitely a better singer than I am a dancer. But also you could assume like just like the leveling up in D&D, if you have to do it all the time, you're going to get better at it. So theoretically, I could become a better dancer doing it all the time.
Yeah.
But I think I find more enjoyment in singing, especially if it's a song that I'm really passionate about. So like, get me drunk at karaoke sometime and I'll bust out some Backstreet Boys or some shit. And it'll be amazing. You'll be so moved. You'll be moved to tears by me singing along to boy bands.
To elaborate on mine too, I've had people say, "Oh, you're a good singer," but when I'm dancing, they go, "Stop that right now! Please stop."
Oh no. I personally, I think, I would definitely go with dance to every song.
Yeah, I thought you would too. I picture
It's
like
just-
you just sitting there being like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, I've always said, I have always. I mean, not only that, I'm Hispanic, so I got some rhythm in my body.
Yeah.
But I've always
I
said
am at a
that
disadvantage here.
I've always said that if I had 3 wishes, the first wish would be to be able to have a beautiful singing voice.
Mhm.
Because if you have a good singing voice, no one's gonna bat an eye when you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly sound like someone punched me in the thorax before I started singing, so I can't do it. So I'm gonna go with dance. There's nothing wrong with a good body roll from time to time, as in a meeting, you know what I mean? Step it up a little bit. So, yeah, definitely go with dance. But
Jag, do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Oh, really? I don't think I've ever actually done karaoke now that I think about it.
Wow.
I'm just,
Wait.
I write my own songs, and that's usually what I play.
We should all go do karaoke when it's safe.
Yeah, come to Austin. We've got private room karaoke places up here that we can go to, and that way you don't feel as embarrassed.
Yeah, we have some pretty awesome locations that have Korean barbecue right next to a karaoke saloon. So
yeah,
we got you.
We're baiting you to Austin.
Yeah, we got you. But okay, alrighty, cool.
He's like, no.
So let's see. Let's check this. Let's see this. Would you rather sip gin with Ryan Reynolds or shoot tequila with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
When you say shoot, do you mean like just take shots, or?
I guess
just
so.
like
Yeah, just take shots.
Right, lime, tequila. Salt, tequila, lime.
Okay, so here's how I feel about this. I would much rather hang out with Ryan Reynolds because I actually kind of have a vendetta against The Rock because I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Okay.
And I hate that, I hate when part-timers come in and take the spotlight away from other people. CM Punk. So I mean, I love his movies. He seems like a good dude, but I'd much rather hang out with Ryan Reynolds. But I also hate gin so much.
Okay.
So I think I'm gonna have to go with tequila with The Rock just because I actually enjoy tequila, and if I get drunk enough, I can go forget that I dislike him.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Tuna.
So I imagine if I'm sipping gin with Ryan Reynolds, it's an evening in and we're gonna, talk, have a good night in. But if we're shooting with The Rock, we're going out and he's gonna pick me up and put me on his shoulder, and then we're gonna go to the bars, right? And then I'm gonna be hanging out with The Rock at the bars. So that sounds more.
He would probably be the greatest wingman.
Hey, look at me. Also, me and The Rock have 30 box office hits together combined. So yeah, I'd go hit the town with The Rock, because then I'm with
Korean chat is actually asking if she gets to pick the gin. I am actually going to say no because he does own his own gin. And so naturally you'd be partaking in the Aviator, is it, gin?
Yep.
I've got to say Ryan Reynolds. I love his sense of humor. I used to be a big pro wrestling fan when I was much younger, and I did respect The Rock a lot. And he seems like he would be a great party. But I guess just as I've gotten a little bit older, I'm like, yeah, sitting down and like just having like a martini with Ryan Reynolds sounds like a really good time, and just like talking about being Deadpool and shit. Like that sounds like it'd be a fantastic time.
Okay. I you know what, man, this is actually a really tough one for me, which is why I picked it. And I thought I would have an answer after listening to you guys.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and split the party here, and I'm probably definitely gonna go with Ryan Reynolds because I feel like if when I'm with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, not only is he gonna try to motivate me to work out and get super jacked like he is, I want to feel bad about myself. As opposed to Ryan Reynolds, who's just gonna make fun of me the entire time, which I already do that to myself, and I just feel it'll be a lot more of a natural conversation, and I feel like it'd be a bit more wholesome. So I'm gonna go with
Okay, yeah,
with Ryan Reynolds.
yeah. Ryan Reynolds definitely going to be way more wholesome than The Rock.
You never know, but we'll see. But okay, all right, and lastly, really think hard about this one. Would you rather be in a zombie apocalypse, slow zombies, not fast zombies, or a robot apocalypse?
Oh, this one's easy. Zombie apocalypse. And
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I've been rewatching the Night of the Living Dead original trilogy. So like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. And I think zombie movies, at their peak are really good. I also just watched Train to Busan or whatever it's called. I can't
Train to
remember the name of
Busan
it.
is so good. I
Yeah,
saw your
so
tweet about that. I was like, yes, Train to Busan. So
yeah.
That's on my
So
list.
I've been watching a lot of zombie movies lately, and I think that, I don't know, robot apocalypse sounds fun and sci-fi,
mhm,
but I feel like it's much easier to kill a zombie than a robot, personally.
right.
And at least if I die, I'll be having fun eating people. So there's that.
True.
When a
You
robot
get
kills
Right.
me, that's it.
you get to respawn as a zombie.
That is
I
very
like it.
true. That is true.
Yeah.
I agree. I can see that.
Tuna.
Zombie apocalypse yeah, it just sounds it doesn't sound exciting, but all those movies are so exciting. So
Okay.
Mm. So I think for me, the question is complicated because I am a giant Terminator fan. Um, and at least T2, in my opinion, is one of the best movies ever made. However, if we're bringing a little bit of realism to the apocalypse, I only have two sports skills that I'm good at, and that's fencing and archery. Those are the two things that I have. Those things would not do me very well in a robot apocalypse. So I'd have to say zombie apocalypse just because it fits my skill set.
I just realized the Matrix is a robot apocalypse.
It is.
Damn it. I love the Matrix.
What about you, Noob?
Okay, I am going to go, and we've had plenty of discussions about this, about the morality of things, right? One of the questions that always pops up during the zombie apocalypse is, okay, like if your best friend were to ask you, "Hey, if I turn into a zombie, I want you to kill me," would you do it?
I wouldn't even let him finish the sentence.
So, yeah, I'm on the same I'm on the same boat where it's like if you
What?
if you tell me like I'm bit, brother, do it, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna hold you close and I'm gonna say I love you, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the deed, right? But that being said, because of that, I'm a sentimental guy. I would cry if my dog get bit, and it would give away the entire party in a zombie apocalypse. So I'd rather go with robot apocalypse so that I can
Okay,
if
I can see that.
I could probably die in the first wave, carpet bombed by robots. I don't have to worry about the rest of it all. I will be fine.
Okay, I changed my answer. I want to go into the Matrix.
Okay. All right. So we're getting close to wrap up time, but I have to know, Jag, in your downtime, in your limited free time, what games have been keeping you busy?
So I mean, I've been playing Overwatch quite a bit.
Mm.
I'm playing right now on a fun team with some of my ex-collegiate teammates.
Okay.
But beyond that, I've been playing League of Legends a little bit more. Like I took a break because it was tilting me off the face of the earth with the top lane meta, but now I've been
I was
able
going
to
to say
kind
you're worried
of
about toxic people on Twitter. You play League of Legends, my man.
I mute chat and I just kind of int myself into victory.
Mhm.
No, I really like it because I think it's a very strategic game. And, Overwatch obviously has some MOBA elements, but MOBAs really just make you think about what you're about to do, and I really enjoy that more strategic gameplay. And it always feels great when you outplay someone. Other than that, I've been replaying the BioShock series. I know that we talked about this the first time. It's one of my
Yes.
favorite, and I'm about to finish Infinite, and then go to Burial at Sea, which I think we talked about this. You got to play Burial at Sea. It's
I
such a
have
great
to.
DLC. Dude, you got it. You
I
haven't done
never
it
played
yet.
that.
You gotta. It ties up a lot of things, and I mean, Rapture is always a really fun location to be at
Mhm.
game-wise. I'm just waiting for another great single-player game to come out. Like I need something to kind of zap my attention away. AC
Yeah.
Valhalla was it for a while, but I've kind of found the DLC that came out a little bit stale, so
Mhm.
I'm just
Okay.
trying to find a new game to play.
All right, so let's close out the show talking about predictions. Obviously, we can't just get into the nitty gritty of everybody that Houston is playing, but what do y'all think that we'll see from the team going forward, whether that be who we're playing next, or what do you think, how we're going to rally and go forward, from the loss that we just had? This is all just predictions. This is for fun. Keep it lighthearted. But yeah, let's think about this for a minute.
So, who do we play in the next tournament?
We play Boston first. No, I'm lying. We play
Shock
first, right?
then
Shock,
Titans.
Titans, and then Boston, and then Dallas.
We play Shock. What you said? We play Shock twice.
No, just once. We play them first.
Okay. Well, just to reflect real quick, my big action item from this tournament was beat Mayhem, and we did, but we lost to Atlanta, and now they're looking like on top of the world. So, Shock is going to be really interesting, right? Like, we have to win that game, but they're going to be fired up because they have one regular season loss to us.
I know that it's easy for me to say this as a Houston fan, but I'm looking at this going, I feel like we're going to come out swinging during this Dallas match. I think that we've had a rough time with them. We started strong, we had a rough time in the middle, and now going into another matchup with Dallas, that's going to be lighting a fire under us the way that wasn't there before. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome though, because we do have the Shock. But yeah, go ahead, Jag.
I think that I said this earlier. I still think Dallas is our most difficult opponent. I am honestly not too worried about Shock right now. I think that we had their number before and then we let it slip away a little bit, but we still won the series. And I think their want for revenge might kind of overconsume them and make their game a little bit messier. Obviously, they're still a great team, still one of the best teams in the world, so they could definitely still win.
Right.
But I think us having the win actually has us have an edge over them, kind of the way that Dallas has now kind of gotten an edge over us a bit.
Right.
It also depends on how Dallas does in Hawaii. I mean, if they run out of steam in Hawaii, that could ruin their whole year, right?
I'm really wondering how Pine coming in changes things, because I honestly feel like they don't really need a hit scan player right now. They've been doing pretty good without. So I'm wondering if you force Pine into a lineup, someone who hasn't played competitively really since season 1, how does that change the whole lineup? He's also the only person who wasn't on Element Mystic.
This is the exact point I made. I said bringing Pine in could only make them worse.
Yeah. I think it's going to be tough, but we don't have that. We don't have to play that first week. So I think that kind of how Jesse was mentioning earlier, I think that might help us really figure out, okay, so this is what everyone has been playing. This is kind of what people are leading to. And then we could actually put together a game plan for that and have a week to scrim it. So, I think I'm kind of with Jesse on this one. I think the the first game against the Shock is going to be a tough one. I think we barely squeaked by with the 3-2 there, 5 maps. And I'm a bit superstitious. It's not a playoff match, so we'll be Dallas. I think we go 4-0.
We can't sleep on Boston either. Boston's heating up, right? Like they aren't the joke that we kind of expected them to be. Boston, right? Boston's looking a lot better.
Well, here's my thing about Boston is that they're a very similar state where they're basically just a contenders team that's been put together with a few more pieces, but like it's just WGS Phoenix for the most part. And then they just put in Youngbong and who was it? Stan One. So those are the 2 new players. So there's 4 main components now that they have that off tank. I can never say his name. But the new one, not Punk. So they should, in theory, have a lot of synergy. And I think that this meta was actually favoring them because Stan One's best main tank has historically been Winston. So I'm interested to see how they'll do if they go back to Rhine, because Valentine also like was supposed to be this amazing echo. So they kind of had a few of their most important characters that they were meta. But what if it swaps and those, aren't anymore?
Right.
I think, I don't know. I think Boston is definitely better than they have been in the past, but I would not say they could definitely be a challenge, but I think they're less of a challenge than like Dallas or the Shock.
June Joust, they're right next to us. They have 2 less map wins than us.
They're 2-2.
Yeah, they had a +3 differential. We had +5.
It's because they rolled Toronto and Justice before Justice played Decay.
Yep. Tuna, do you have any hot takes before we get to the end of the show for what you think is going to be coming up for the Outlaws?
Dreamer and Jongu. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because I was wondering where Jongu was. I'm going to watch this Let It Rip episode, and
we're all going to watch this Let It Rip episode, including you, chat.
It actually really sounds interesting because I would like to see a reflection on the Dallas game. But yeah, I think Jongu and Dreamer has me confused. So I'm excited to see maybe like if the meta gets wacky to see them play together. Who knows? I'm excited to see what happens with this tank line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all excited for what's going to be happening next. Let the gang take some downtime and come out swinging into the next stage. And with that being said, that's everything that we have for this week's episode of the Outlaws Outpost. First off, Jesse, thank you so much for joining us again.
Yes, thank you so much.
Your insight has been absolutely fantastic. Over on the Outlaws YouTube page on the 9th, there'll be the new episode of Let It Rip. This is going to be the episode we keep talking about. That's going to be a reflection of what happened over the June Joust
qualifiers
tournament qualifiers. So definitely tune into that. But where else can they find you, panel, if they're not going to watch the Let It Rip episode?
You can find me at JAGcast on Twitter. I should really change that because I'm not really a caster anymore, though I am trying to do more casting here and there. Definitely follow the Outlaws in every social media channel you can if you haven't already. Let It Rip is to be tomorrow, as we talked about, but there is going to be a lot of really cool stuff in the next like 2-3 weeks. And that's not a bait. Like, I wish I could tell you. And when you find out, you're going to be like, holy crap. But for now, I'll just leave you with that little tease.
Okay. Tuna?
This was a really good episode. I'm so happy you got to join us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. You want me to tell you where you can find me?
It's plug time.
Who cares? No one watches my stuff anyway. You'll see me next time. Lone Star Vanguard.
Cool. Yeah, I'm at Nubitron Prime on Twitter. I know you guys see me a lot on this channel doing this, and then also with Pug Nights. Fun fact: now that the world is starting to slowly open back up, everybody just want to give everyone more heads up that Pugs this week will be streamed and produced on Thursday at 8:30 CST.
Ooh, I can make that.
Yeah, we're just gonna kind of see, maybe now that people are going out for dinner and stuff like that on Fridays, Thursday's a better day for them. So if you would like to join us for that, either in a casting capacity or in a player capacity,
I would love
Jesse,
to cast that.
let us
Yeah,
know.
because Friday I'm traveling. Sorry to like interrupt the outro, but yeah, Friday I'm traveling, but Thursday I'll be around.
Sweet.
Come get Diva Bombed by Jag. Dude, he's a monster. Diva Bomb play the game every match during pickup games. I was just like, okay, like go easy on us.
So Noob, where would they find us if they wanted to join into those pug nights and have those good times with us?
So if you did want to join us, join. Oh no, lsv.gg/join down there. That'll take you to our Discord. Join our Discord. Select the Pugs Overwatch LFG role. Or you can just tune in here at twitch.tv/Vanguard on Thursday at 8:30 CST.
All right. And if you want to send us your love for the Outlaws to read on air, hit me up on Twitter at GNGGcast and check out our main show, Good Night and Good Game, a weekly nerd news roundup available on any podcast provider and Spotify. All right. Until next time, heroes, good night and good game.
Bye, everybody. Bye, y'all.